It's going.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Martha.
Hi, Martha.
Hi, Martha.
I'm so glad you're here today, and we don't have a full room, but we've got a great bunch of people that are here, so we're going to count our blessings. And I just want to thank you, Mac, for helping get all the equipment put together today. It was a little challenging.
We're kind of feeling our way through it, Martha. Marilyn's got this new video recorder, and took us a while to get that figured out.
Right, so thank you for your help. And it's so good to see you back, Noelle.
Thank you, Martha.
Glad to have you here, and it hasn't been long, so it's just been kind of like we're old friends. Well, I'm going to bring St.Germain in now, so just know that he's waiting, and he'll be here in a minute. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Is this John?
I am St.Germain.
St.Germain. Excuse me.
And I am so glad to be here this afternoon, and I want to welcome you, Noelle and Mac. Thank you for your help, and we're going to have a wonderful afternoon. I have some information, and Marilyn put out, it was about bringing heaven to earth, which goes along with the book we had her write. And we would like to explain some things even further so that people have a better understanding of this special time in history. This is a time that is outstanding. It has never happened before, and all the forces of the universe and even the cosmos has come together and watching this event. It's becoming a monumental experience for all the energy of the planetary system to rise into another higher consciousness. And those on planet Earth are the instigators and initiation of this rising throughout the universe. So this is a very special time. And you both are very much a part of it, and that's why you're both here today, because you need to know your histories have gone on for many, many reincarnations. And both of you have been most successful, even if you're not aware of some of your past lives. You have been very successful in bringing your consciousness up into where it is today. And the final stages of clearing and releasing the last of the ego sphere is just imminent for both of you, so that you will be moving into a new consciousness of Christ consciousness, which many people will call heaven on earth. So I am here to explain a little bit more about how that's working for you today. This is my favorite topic, is to help people move into that higher consciousness of unconditional love that most people have been praying for many, many thousands of years, is peace on earth. And as you individually do grow into that peace that surpasses all understanding, that means you have worked your way out of third dimension into fourth, and you are now stating and in connection with higher consciousness of fourth dimension, and eminently going into fifth dimension, which is going to be unconditional love, which you will not need to leave your physical body to attain in this particular time in history. That is why it is so monumental. As you know, as people pass over to the other side, they move into what most people call heaven. Spiritually, the term is actually called nirvana. And nirvana is actually, you might think of it as different stages of spiritual growth. You might even think of it as a parking garage that has many, many levels to the parking garage, A, B, C, D, going up higher and higher. Or if you are in terms of biblical thinking, you might think of Jacob's ladder as you're going up the stairs into a higher consciousness. And you people have come through many layers of stairs or levels of the parking lot, however you choose to visualize that for yourself, and you are in a very high part of the stairs moving forward into the last of that progression. So I want to congratulate both of you at this point for having come as far as you have and being ready to actually take final steps to bring your alignment into the alignment of God. This is an amazing time, and as you do it, you move into a peace inside that is out of third dimension. You no longer will be experiencing the earth plane as it has been in the past. The Earth was a planet of duality, which you've been explained in other prior channelings. The duality meant that you had a lot good and bad, right and wrong, criticism, judgment, and all kinds of adversity that you needed to overcome for your karma to transform and change. Both of you have progressed beautifully along the path of, instead of reacting from fear as the karma was in the past, you learn to take a look at those situations as they come up and respond to them in loving, accepting ways that it's not good or bad. It just is the lesson at hand for you to change the energy. Change from the fearful reaction or the guilt or the shame or the jealousy or envy. Some people like to call them the 7 deadly sins. And those have been running your lives for eons. And as you're overcoming all those old emotions and the karma of the past, moving into the energies of love by releasing whatever it is that's negative and asking God to remove it because it's not aligned with His will. His will for you is the law of love. That's the only law that exists in the universe, is love. God is love. And as you move closer and closer into that vibration, into that higher consciousness, the Christ consciousness, that's what ascension is about. That's what your path is about. You people have awakened enough to have a much better understanding than many, that you have been on this path for a long time and that you are coming to help others also achieve this by raising your consciousness. It's like a pebble reaching out to the ripples that will attract and get the recognition of those people around in your circles. You'll say, oh my, did you notice how Mac is beaming with the light within? And how Noelle is so bright and cheery and she is just wonderfully happy, and that's because of at this point in time, as you've released your desires and wants for the love to come in. You see, what happened on planet Earth is you were taught to limit yourselves. And we're coming into a limitless God's perception of life. We don't have to limit ourselves anymore. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to have all the love in your heart come out to all those around you and fill you. You do not need to protect yourself any longer from the harms of others out there. When you send out love, it's actually the most valuable shield you have, so what is going on around you does not come and affect you. It's actually protecting you to send out love. And Marilyn has shared at other times how this has been working in her life and how it saved her in her domestic violent marriage from being attacked. When she prayed for her ex-husband, she was then allowed to leave the room and not be bothered, and he never touched her again. So prayer and blessings to others is your best defense. Sending love means that you are being defenseless. There's nothing to attack. So it's really the best route. It's also the same way Gandhi was able to bring India out of their domination from England. This is what many people in political countries do not understand, is that they are still living in fearful environments that are coming up to the surface to be dispelled, and it is their choice to release it. This is the time in history when all this chaos and unsettledness has come up to finally say, I have a choice to not live in that anymore. I choose to be in the law of love, the love of God, which is reality. Anything else is not real. You see, many thousands of years ago, you, as far as the part of being considered the plural you, the consciousness of the planet of Earth, decided in a mad moment that what would it be like to be separated from God? Because if you are connected with God, it's all love, and there are no feelings of being in that loving state. You just are. You don't experience it. This is just the way it is. So if you separated from God, you would have diversity. You would have opposition. You would have choice. And that's what you said. Well, let's go down and find out what it's like to experience it. And so you have traveled the road of hard knocks. Some people have called it a nightmare or hell. Learning how to dispel the dark energies that separated you from God. In your thinking moments, you thought that was true because the society convinced you of that, including churches and dogma, saying you have become a sinner and you are separated from God, which was one of their ways to keep you in fear, which was not truthful, but it was very much to their way to manage the population, to do their bidding. So as you are getting smart enough to realize that fear was just a temporary, a bleep in history, of small glimpse of separating from God, what it's like not to have love, and as you people sitting in this room have chosen to have love in your life and release everything that is not of God, this is what it means when it says you cannot serve two masters. And you people in this room today have chosen to live and proceed and emerge higher into the consciousness of the Christ consciousness, the highest consciousness, before you actually return to the spiritual part where you are no longer a human being. So that is the highest you can go, but the point is you are at that threshold where the choice again is, do I want to move into that fifth dimension of heaven and actually put both my feet into this wonderful heaven on earth as a human being in physical form. I do not have to die to enjoy peace on earth. And as some of you have heard in the Bible, there was mention of the 1,000 years of peace coming, and that's what we're referring to. The peace of God. You are a piece of God, and you will be able to experience being that piece of God. The duality will have left. You will no longer have to go through those predicaments because they will have been dispelled by the love. Love heals all things. Love is all there is. And the more you choose the love of God, you are not serving something that is an illusion or a fantasy or a make-believe or a made-up story by a planetary group of people wishing to dominate it. And you are choosing to move back into the truth and reality and the great reality that was always within inside you, just covered up by the sadness and the difficulties of the planet in third dimension duality. Now as they are dissipating, it's like walking into a new room of darkness, but you are turning on the light of God, and it is dispelling. This is a wonderful time in history, and it is a wonderful time to experience this because no other planet before you has actually gone through this experiment, as you might call it, of changing the energy of a planet into a higher consciousness. Some people have called the fall of man, the planet descended into darker energy. And now as you have higher energy on the planet Earth, which actually has arisen into fifth dimension, it's time for you to align with the new energy of the planet. You see, when I mentioned earlier that the whole universe and other universes in the cosmos are looking on this situation, they have been beaming energy and light to planet Earth to bring it back into its natural and original state, which some called Lemuria, a very spiritual time before it went down in energy into a darkness that you have been living out for thousands of years. And Jesus came, and many other masters came, such as Buddha, Muhammad, and to name just a few that are familiar, there's many that are not familiar that also came, and to bring the message of love. And the New Testament was the message of love. To love your neighbor as yourself, because that energy in them is the same energy in you. You are literally loving yourself when you love your neighbor. And isn't that a much more comfortable place to be when you're congenially happy with that energy of everybody around you? You're loving, pardon me, your loving energy goes out to smooth the path, and everything becomes congenial, cooperative, and in unity. And so you have that heaven on earth. So when you love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, which is the 2 commandments Jesus brought, he was talking about opening up your heart completely, not in any reservation, because then that still is part of the delusion and the darkness. And you want that to be obliterated totally in the light, so that your whole being is emanating light out to everyone, and you see nothing but wonderful things. Excuse me. So we have Archangel Ariel coming in to help you with that today, to actually help you change some of that perception and experience. You see, heaven is a state of consciousness. And when you were in 3rd dimension in planet Earth, and yes, it got very dark at times, and the experiences that you had to move through were very difficult and very scary. And now, as you've moved out of that, you're seeing how you can move forward by sending love. And you send out love, you smooth the path before you. Instead of reacting and getting angry, which is childish. You see, this is working out the way it's supposed to work out. How am I just supposed to handle this and get past it and move on to my next experience, my next lesson, or my next project? So you see, anger actually keeps you from moving forward. So it's time to say, I choose to grow up and mature in a spiritual, healthy way, where I always see whatever is happening in front of me as a spiritual experience of love. And in loving it, it will actually dissipate the anger. So it will do that in all parts of your life. If you have forgiven some people, to send them love. And that's very important, to send it out as much as you can, because you create your own reality. And I'm here today. You are doing a wonderful job, both of you, in creating a loving environment, loving experiences, loving happenings in your life, doing people and coming into your life that are broadening your horizons. As I've said before, God is energy and expansion, and as your horizons move into the all there is love, then you no longer have to stay scared, fearful, or 3rd dimensionally bound. You can be in the world but not of it. So you see, you people here today have moved out of that 3rd dimensional frame of mind. And it's time to claim it and live it and know that you are children of God. That peace of God is in you. And I'm just here to tell you today how pleased I am with your progress. And you are children of God, with which He is most pleased. He is so proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself. And this journey has been arduous at times, but you've kept persevering, you've kept searching and looking and finding answers that have brought you information. And information is the lack of fear. When you are in fear, you are without information. So as you've pursued information, your fear dispels. You have answers. The unknown is not unknown. You know that whatever lies ahead of you is loving. And so this transformation you're going through has a loving, loving resolution. What an adventure to move into not having criticism in your life, not having judgment in your life, having people that are congenial and happy and joyous, and they're in gratitude for the blessings they've received, and you together can be in gratefulness for that. And that you know that you're living in the presence of the love of God, which was always your birthright, always was in your heart. Your mind, your ego, just told you otherwise, and you don't have to believe that lie anymore. You can now move out of your head and into your heart, where the truth of all being is, knowing that the truth will set you free. The truth doesn't set you free, but knowing it does. The knowing is the consciousness. When you know it inside, you know that you can be free of all negativity, all harm and despair and all sadness, because what's ahead of you is going to be more than you can envision at this time. It is going to be a marvelous, marvelous trip and transformation into a consciousness where all are one in caring and sharing. Your worries will leave. You will not grow old. Isn't that nice to hear? Your consciousness won't allow that, because with God there is no age. Your illnesses will leave. Isn't that a nice understanding, that as you become more God conscious, you are going to become healthier? There is no room for anything that is not God. So if you see yourself in this hula hoop of God's love, anything beyond is not real. And just release it. If it's not loving, let it go. Say this is not aligned with God. And if you choose to say, Satan, get thee behind me. You see, anything that's not aligned with God is the Antichrist. So you really don't want it in the first place if you're on this path. But it is always a choice to pick love or what else is going on that you feel might even be better for you. But in the long run, I would just like to give you a little word of wisdom. In the long run, it might not pay off. And you've maybe had the experience of revenge at one time where you thought, oh, I'm going to get even with that person. But in the long run, you really did pay a price. So instead of paying prices, just pick the answer that you know will be the best one in the long term, which is eternal forever and will never leave, because it is part of the actual reality of you and are part of that, and that's your homecoming. You are coming home to that loving presence of God. And I wish you well in being open-minded, releasing anything that is not aligned with God's love. Let it go and replace it immediately with God's loving grace to fill that void. You see, nature abhors a void, and if you don't replace what you've released with something you want, something can come in that might not be in your best interest. So that's just a little cue of how you can do it more quickly than how it's happened in the past. People have released situations that were not in their benefit, not good for them, but they didn't think about what would maybe come in to replace it, and so they still had problems they needed to continue releasing. As you replace it with love, the love grows and grows and grows until you will find everything is love. And that's the heaven on earth you're walking into. I wish you celebrations, joy, and a happy adventure. You people are really, really close to having this experience of total joy in your life. Be open-armed about it, embrace it, and if anything comes up that is not a happy situation for you, embrace it with your love, because it will fade into the light. Don't fight it, don't be upset about it, just say, I know it's needing love, that it's missing love, and I just will embrace it, and watch how fast it will disappear for you. So as you come forward and know the tools of leaving the darkness, moving into the light of God, you will open up and be that light. You see, you're closed off. Negativity has kept the light within from shining beyond. But as your cells and atoms can expand with the light and the love, because that is a warm, wonderful, comfortable place to be. And that before you were all closed down and tight and dark because you were trying to protect yourself, and now you know that love is your protection. You can now be the light of God as you go forth today, shining your beam, showing others that they can do this too. If you've done it, they can do it. And you can all move forward into this wonderful, wonderful peace on earth, this heaven on earth that's coming. What a wonderful place to be at this time in history. This is monumental. You came purposely at this time to be part of it. Embrace it, enjoy it, and send love to all those parts that are still not loving, so they can be dispelled in the light. May I wish you a happy afternoon, and I hope this has been most helpful to help encourage you to move down the road in the light of God, which is the only reality there is. So as you see other things happening, know that it's not real. It's just a fantasy and illusion, and that you do not have to buy into those things anymore. You can just beyond it, leave it behind, bless it, embrace it with love, and say, you know, that's enough. I'm not going to continue having that experience because I know there are better, wonderful, loving experiences today. And I'm not hanging on to the past because it's familiar. I'm not worrying about the future because where will my mind go? Well, today your mind will go from your head into your heart. So the influence of the ego is going to be dispelled. And that's what Marilyn's book was about, was to help understand that process more. I wish you a happy afternoon, and I'm so glad you came. Good afternoon, and we'll have Archangel Michael be here shortly.
Thank you, St. Germain.
Thank you.